Hi everyone, this is Prakash, and this session is of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya mission on national mission on teaching and training, and it is a faculty development program we have been conducting every year. This is 22 for the 2022, and we have here a distinguished speaker, GhanshyamMann. He is the chair of OpenStack Technical Committee and now also the board of director of OpenStack Foundation. As an independent member, he got elected along with Vipin, and both of them represent us at a uh, level of India and Indians all over the globe. So he's an open source committee leader and a cloud consultant for at NEC with bachelors from Kurukshetra University in electronics and communication and PG in embedded systems and computer science from C-DAC at Bangalore. He has worked in Honeywell Aerospace for 4 years before joining HCL and then NEC Group, that is HCL NEC Group at Delhi. And from there he moved to NEC Japan and has been leading almost a lot of QA stuff from OpenStack, and he's one of those most valuable team players in OpenStack. Currently, he's in Canada working with NEC. Very steady hand, has a managing QA and technical committee. Now also on the policy side, having entered the board of directors. So we expect that we'll always be coordinating with him on various aspects, and we look forward for guidance from him for the faculty who are eager to listen to uh, his role in Xena to yoga, which is the new version, and further down what is the plan, etc. So with that, I hand over the floor to GhanshyamMann. Welcome, Ghanshyam. Go ahead. Floor is yours. Take it and help us and guide us. Thank you.
Thanks, Prakash. It's very detailed uh, introduction. Even I was like going through the time when I joined Honeywell and then NEC and all. Thank you for the detailed introduction. So today's session is like about the OpenStack, what it is currently and what we have done from Xena to Yoga cycle. So Xena and Yoga is the two release of OpenStack. Xena has been released in October last year, and Yoga is going to be released in next month. Sorry. And before that, we'll also go through like how OpenStack has been emerged and what is the current state of OpenStack in terms of community as well as in terms of like the on the user's perspective. So my name is GhanshyamMann, and I'll just give a brief intro of myself doing what I'm doing in OpenStack. So I got involved in OpenStack since 2013, and then currently I'm member of technical committee and also chair, and also core member in Nova, DevStack, Granite, Tempest, a lot of QA stuff and other repository. I also served as a QAPTL for 2 years previously. And as Prakash mentioned, I've been like individual board of director now in OpenInfra Foundation. So first, let's about the OpenStack. It's very brief, like what OpenStack is, how it started. So as all of you might know, like in NASA 2010, they were like looking for the around building it 3,000 sites on the private cloud for the government organization. And Rackspace also was like working on an idea of computing in Python, and they collaborated and it came up as a open source project. And initially it was just a No and Swift 2 project, and after that it grew. And initially it was thought like OpenStack is just a virtual machine things, right? You can just boot the virtual machine and manage the virtual machine. But currently it is more than that. It's bare metal virtual machine container, and more than that, like you can integrate with a lot of adjacent open source. For example, Kubernetes is a good example. You can run OpenStack on Kubernetes, you can run Kubernetes on OpenStack or in parallel. There are a lot of use cases you can solve with those two different technologies. So OpenStack is not just the virtual machine, but it's way beyond that. And this is the current OpenStack landscape. And it's just not the computing, but it's also storage, networking, and hardware lifecycle. Then you have operational tooling also. We have shared services like Keystone for identity authorization and authentication. Then lifecycle management tool you have for deployment and all. Then testing tooling, UI you have the Horizon also, and we have a new project Skyline also came up in Yoga Cycle, which I'll talk in the later slide. But we have a different option for OpenStack dashboard also. So there are a lot of projects here from around 52 projects we have, and depends on your use case. You can pick up those software component from this map, and you can integrate, and you can solve any of the use case or requirement you have from your customer. And yes, so most widely deployed open source and cloud software in the world, and that's why it's a very a common or a very known statement that word runs on OpenStack. It's like a lot of workload from key industries, key companies has been running on OpenStack. And in the recent, it's been achieving the 25 million core in production, which is a huge achievement. Till 1 year back or something, we used to heard 15 million, 20 million. Now it's 25 million core in production, and from 175 public cloud data center, which is a huge number actually. And it's not just limited to one industries. It's a lot of telco, cloud hosting. These are the screenshot from the OpenStack site. You can find the use case from marketplace site, and there are a lot of companies using OpenStack in different ways. And telco, healthcare, also finance. Then you have e-commerce also. Snap Deal is the one example. Walmart, Sun. There are a lot of big names. They are using OpenStack in a very large amount.
Ghanshyam, your slides are not moving. Can you move it?
I'm moving it. So which slide are you seeing now? So yeah, I'm on the, what's the secret slide?
No, it's the first slide, the title slide only. We have not gone beyond that.
Sure, let me reshare and then. So how about this? Now it's moving.
Yeah, now it's moving. You can go ahead.
Okay. Sorry about that. I think I shared the single window and it was not coming. So these are the things I talked about, like the OpenStack overview. And then this is the map where I talked 52 projects we have currently of different category, lifestyle, compute, storage, and all. And yeah, so these are the few numbers. I'll go again, 25 million OpenStack core in production we have, and 175 public clouds. And these are the different industries where OpenStack has been deployed in the large amount. In telco, cloud hosting, finance, healthcare, e-commerce like Sun, Walmart, Snapdeal. A lot of companies are using OpenStack in a very, very large scale. And now we'll talk about what's the secret behind this, how this community is doing so much activeness since 1 decade. And I find personally these 4 open as one of the key. First is open source. Every software we write in community is under open source license, so anyone can use it, modify it for their enterprise product or get benefit. So it is all open. And open design. Any strategy, any roadmap, any feature spec or feature feature implementation we discuss, it's all in the open platform. So it's not like any private discussion or private design has been proposed for any feature or any software and then we implement it. It's one good example is say for I'm proposing any say RBAC design or discussing the RBAC design for NOAA, and if say Prakash from different company and that design doesn't work for their use case, so they can object it, and then we discuss it and we make it so that it works for everyone. It's not like I just complete my use case and doesn't care about anyone else. It's all open design, everyone discuss it and make it very generic, not specific to any vendor or any company. Open development, it's very important for any developer, especially like working from Asia side or in India, China, where we have a lot of IT restriction on accessing the tools and all other stuff, right? So in open development, we make sure whatever tool we are using in community development, we are using the open source tool so that they can be accessed from the any company, right? So for example, Gerrit we are using, Gerrit should be accessible from anywhere. We are not using any proprietary tool for code management. So those things we make sure, like every tooling, every communication, even everything we are using from the open source, or that can be at least accessible from the everywhere from the world. And open community is also very important. It's about like we give a platform for everyone, like anyone can join us, anyone can propose the features, and it's not like someone is owner of anything, right? It's just a shared effort. For example, say if I create a repository and I write all the initial software code and all, I still am not a core. It's just a open source project. Anyone is coming up, they are contributing, they can become the core, they can become the maintainer. And in terms of OpenStack, like technical committee, PTLs, anyone can come and raise their hand for the election, right? As per the eligibility criteria. There is no such rule like only these people who have started the OpenStack or who have started the few of the software, they only run for the things, right? It's just everything is open, and we make sure all these forces are being incorporated in every term, every cycle. So that is our main agenda for like from the TC and governance or the from board of director perspective also. So these are few stats like how OpenStack has been doing or is doing. Till now, if we see, it's more than 100,000 contributors has been contributing from 692 organizations and 195 countries. So it's a lot of like, I think from every corner of the world has been involved in OpenStack. And 24 on-time release from Austin to Xena, and Yoga is also 25th release is coming in a month. 30th March, we will be releasing the 25th release Yoga. And as it started from 2 projects, Snow and Swift in 2010, now it's 52 projects in 2022. And more than 500,000 code change has been merged. And in terms of the day-to-day activities, it's around like 900 changes are being proposed, and those changes going through our CI/CDs and our testing. So it's a huge number of activities in day-to-day. Like if you are involved in nowadays in OpenStack, which is the release time, today we have the feature freeze. So you will see like a lot of features are, a lot of reviews are going on features, a lot of code changes are going on so that we finish the features on time and so on. And those are what the activities like what we do as a developer in the community, but that cannot be possible without the sponsorship from the company side. And that's why we have the huge sponsorship from the company, like 73 corporate sponsors and 9 platinum members, 17 gold member, and we have 27 board of directors, which include 9 platinum, 9 gold, and 9 individual board of director. Individual board of director comes from the community, so anyone can run as a board of director election and community votes, any foundation member, and they are being elected. And in terms of the technical leadership, we have 9 elected technical committee members. They are elected for 1 year term, and we run the election for 6 months. Every 6 months, 4 and 5 seats are being run every 6 months. Today only we close the election for next cycle. So we got the 5 new elected TC member, And then we have the 50 elected project team lead, which we call like PTL. Every project have the PTL, even though we have started a new model also like distributed leadership, where we don't have a single person leading as a PTL, but we have different people taking the different role and responsibilities. And core contributor who has the like power to merge the code is around 1000 plus, and still 1000 plus is more active contributors we have other than core members. They don't have like power to merge it, but their plus one really matters, because it's not like sometime every developer can spend their 100 or 50% bandwidth in community. There are a lot of developers who are like working in their downstream, and they spend even 5 or 10% bandwidth in upstream, even at least only for the discussion. So those kind of contributors are also very important for us, and their feedback, their discussion, their plus one on code review really help us to improve the things. Sorry. These are some stats I collected from the various last 4 release. So if we go from the 21st release named Usiri, so it was like 24,000 plus code change. So every release is of 6 months, and in 6 months we did 24,000 code change, 1,000 contributor, 180 organization from 50 countries. Then in Victoria, which was 22nd release, almost same number of contributors and all, and 20,000 plus code change. In Wallaby, 17,000 code change, 800 contributors, 140 organization. And in Xena release, which was our latest release, is also like 15,000 code change, 680. So these last 3 releases like during the COVID time. So there are a decrease in number of code change or contributor, which was expected due to this pandemic time. But still, during that time, we have that number of activities is a really good number. And because of that, OpenStack is the 3 top most active open source project, like OpenStack, Linux kernel, and Chromium. These are the 3 projects having that level of activities every year. So that was the what OpenStack is currently, how active it is. So now let's talk about the OpenStack Xena release. OpenStack Xena is 24th on-time release. So on-time is very important here, because we have not missed any release deadline since 12 years. And very huge thanks to release team who is doing always like a flawless job, and also like all the support team, for example, QA, infra team, always pressure on the infra team to keep the servers running and all, requirement stable. Every lot of adjacent team, they are contributing in doing the on-time release. And also, like last but not the least, the contributors who are making sure they are doing the code and also review on time and merging the things. So in OpenStack's Xena, the headline was, it yields the powerful hardware support and project integration among the other open infrastructure for cloud native applications. In terms of contribution stat, we already talked about 15 plus code change. And in Xena also, it was like one of the most open source active project in the world. Now we'll talk about the few of the key features, sorry, where you can like check like what are the things especially when you will upgrade your cloud from previous release to OpenStack Xena. So obviously the one thing you will see, what's the new feature in Xena, whether you should be upgrading your cloud or not. So a few of the key features I have collected. Obviously it's not the complete list. Depends on like what project you are using in your cloud. So we have that list in our release site also. But few of the thing is here. One of important is integration with adjacent OSS. which initially I talked about like OpenStack and Kubernetes integration, right? So this is very important, right? Because in industries, there are a lot of use cases. Like we are not limited to one software or one things like, okay, we'll use just OpenStack and make a lot of money, right? It's not possible. Everything is there. So you combine them, you integrate those technology, either Kubernetes, OpenStack, or anything else, and then you make the different use case for your customer. And for that integration, we always keep improving the things. For example, Cola added the support of Prometheus version 2. Magnum updated their version for Kubernetes and Containerd. And then Cinder supported the Ceph backend driver also, Ceph SKZ. And I think Cinder has now around 64 backend driver supported. So that's a really huge number and huge integration for different storage driver in any industry. Then Tacker, which is our NFV orchestration project. It's also moving towards the ETSI NFV standards, which will help Tacker to be used in more industries, in telco industries, and make it more powerful, especially in Japan side. Tacker has been in very much demand, and they are keep improving it to be used in NTT Docomo and other telco vendors. Then OpenStack project integration has been done, like Nova, Cyborg integration, and then hardware features in Cinder, Ironic, Cola, Neutron. There are many. And then one is Glance, the Keystone Unified Limit. So Keystone Unified Limit is the way operator can set the quota for their resources in OpenStack. Current design for setting the quota is very vague. Like there are a lot of things. You can set it via configuration, you can set it via APIs, then APIs setting override the config one. So there are a lot of inconsistent way we have for users, operator to set the quota. So this is the new one. Keystone Unified Limit is the way you can set quota consistently across all the OpenStack projects. So there are two steps. One is you have to register the quota per services. And once you register quota per services, for example, I register say Noah instance quota to 10. That is the registration. And then as an operator, I can set the limit of say instance, say 10 for project A. So project A can create only 10 instance in my cloud. So those are the two steps. So Glance is the first project to implement that. And Noah has also implemented in Yoga. I think all the patches has been merged, but it was going through the gate today because of the feature release. So it should have been merged by morning. And what's the main benefit of this unified limit is you can set these quota consistently across all the OpenStack projects. Once other project also implemented, and other things are like you get a consistent error, like for instance in getting any error if it is overflow in quota. So same I get if I overflow the volume thing. So it's very easy for admin or operators to debug the failure if their quota is overflowed. So that is very important. And Manila has been doing their OpenStack client and SDK work. I think most of their API has been implemented in those clients. So they are the CLI interface from OpenStack to be used consistently, because we have the APIs, but APIs, as you know, it's very hard for users or non-developer to use. So CLI is the one of the interface we provide between API and the user, so that can be used easily. On technical depth, Cinder has removed the V2 APIs. So V2 APIs has been deprecated since long, but still it was supported. And in Xena cycle, it has been removed. So if you are upgrading from older OpenStack release and using Cinder V2 APIs to OpenStack Xena, then it won't work. So you have to upgrade your endpoints. So alternate is Cinder v3 APIs, so which has the micro version also, which is very important in terms of the interop perspective. So any change in Cinder v3 APIs is done with the micro version. So if say I am deleting any API, I am renaming any API, it won't affect your cloud until you are requesting the new one. So that existing user will be using the same way as they are using. And if anyone want to use the improved API, they can just update the version in their API request, so that interoperability is maintained in a better way. And those are the key thing. And for other, there are a lot of, like I mentioned, 52 projects we have. So there are a lot of highlights from other projects also. So this is the link in our releases.openstack.org. You can find out the highlights, which is very important for to decide whether you are going to upgrade in OpenStack Xena, and what all things can be broken, or what all things you have to make sure before you open up that upgraded cloud to the users. And yeah, few of the other things what we did in Xena and Yoga is, one is the community-wide goal. The structure is changed. So community-wide goal were the effort like driven by the TC, where we decide a few of the things, one or two things to be implemented across all the OpenStack projects. And those can be like user-facing improvement, or those can be the code maintenance improvement. And we define those implementation detail, and then we implement those across all the OpenStack projects. So till now, we used to have the community-wide goal per cycle. Like for Xena, we used to have goal. For Yoga, we used to have goal. But that we changed now. So the new structure is we will be selecting the one or two or more community-wide goal at a time as an active goal. And until we finish those, they will be active. Either they take 1 cycle, 2 cycle, 3 cycle, whatever. So it's like we define the things to do, we finish it, then we choose the next one to do. So that's our new structure for community-wide goal. And current selected and active goals are two we have. One is the consistent and secure default RBAC, which we'll be talking in detail. And the second is migrate from Oslo root wrap to preserve library. These are like root wrap preserve is a library to run your sudo command, and root wrap had some security and performance issues, so we have the new implementation of that and moving all the OpenStack projects to the preserve Oslo library. And few of the highlights from the Xena and Yoga release. We have the new projects. Skyline is very interesting project. So Skyline is a dashboard, you can say a alternate to Horizon. So still it is in a very initial stage, but there are the things, Noah and few more project plans, Keystone, they have been integrated, and that team has been onboarded as an official OpenStack project in Yoga. And yes, it is like good to collaborate and give a try like how Skyline is, and whether it can be a good alternate for your cloud along with Horizon or separate from Horizon. So we are very excited about Skyline being an official OpenStack project, and we'll see how the implementation will go from there. And Venus is another new project, which is the log management services. So that is also now official OpenStack project. Tap as a services was the old project, now is added back to the Neutron Stadium project. And Neutron FWS was also deprecated, but is now undeprecated and now maintained in again in Neutron Stadium. In terms of project retirement, 3 projects we retired: Kunlin, Searchlight, and Carver. Retirement here means when every cycle, when we search for the like PTL election or we restart the development, we check if any of the project is missing any maintainer or any leader. And if there is no maintainer, no leader, no one is there to maintain, we retire the project. And retirement is not like it has been gone and cannot be come again. Retirement is, yes, it is gone for now because there is no maintainer. But if you want to maintain it as per your company use case or whatever, you can rebring that project to OpenStack again. So there is always possible. For example, Neutron FWS was deprecated for retirement, but then maintainer came up and they said we will maintain it. Then we undeprecated it. So retirement also, you can apply those retired project again to the OpenStack governance. And with all these new project and project retirement, still we have 52 projects currently under the OpenStack governance. And open leadership, so that I especially would like to mention, because there are many developers, even from the universities or companies, they think like, okay, we have to contribute it and that's it. It's not limited to that only. It's open leadership also. And leadership means for technical, in terms of technical leadership, we have the OpenStack technical committee elections every cycle, OpenStack project team lead election every cycle. So if you would like to raise hand for leading the projects, then you are most welcome. You can be you can raise hand for technical committee, you can raise hand for PTLs if you are contributing in those projects, and then you can run the election, and if you win it, and then you will be the leader. So that's very transparent and open leadership. So recently we had Xena, PTL and TC election, and for next cycle Z, we just finished the, I closed the election today, so it's all done. So TC and PTL election are done for Z election also, Z cycle also. You might have seen my email on OpenStack discuss mailing list. So it's not just you contribute the code, it's an opportunity for you to come and show your leadership capability and or have a chance to lead the project, or in terms of that coming in technical committee also. So don't hesitate. Don't think about okay, I'm just a developer from the university, I'll just contribute and go away. No, there are the unlimited scope in terms of leadership also. So this is the RBAC thing, consistent and secure default RBAC, which we have been doing in Xena and Yoga, and also will continue in next cycle. So what it means is, so RBAC is our role-based access control for our APIs. So key thing here is the default. So till now our default was not so great, so that operator can use it directly. They have to override it for their use case. Like for example, they have to create the reader role for audit, and they have to assign the reader role for the APIs, so that reader role cannot access the right operational APIs. So those kind of things were missing in our default RBAC. And that's why those use case we are solving with this effort. And with this, there is a new direction we have defined in Yoga. And this is also our one of the selected and active community-wide goal. And in terms of community-wide goal, as I mentioned, this has to be done in all the applicable project in OpenStack among 52 projects. And we need a lot of developer and coding work. So if any of you interested, or anyone is interested or wanted to contribute, it's just a Python coding, and you can be onboarded here. It's a very huge effort we actually currently doing, and also going to do in next cycle. So I'll give a little bit brief technical detail about these RBAC, how we are doing. And obviously it's not just for the developers things, but also as an operator or as a user, you see these are the good use case can be solved in for your customer, or there are few more use case which you would like us to solve as a default RBAC, then obviously you can give us a feedback. So in terms of the default RBAC new design, we have now two things. One is the role and one is the scope. So scopes are divided into the three things: domain, system, and project. So domain is like high level things under the which domain your project is and all. System is system level things which are not associated with projects, and projects are the our common or the existing tenants or projects in OpenStack. So these are the three scope. And in terms of role, we have three roles defined: admin, member, and reader. Admin obviously can do the admin things, like say live migrate the server. Member can do the things they own, for example, creating server for them, then locking the server, pause server, migrate, resize server and all. Reader is the least permiss things which can be used as an audit person. They can only do have the access to the read APIs like get server, get hypervisor, all this stuff. And that is one of the important use case we are solving here. For example, when when you want someone to audit your cloud, so in current way you have to give the complete access to them, and sometime intentionally or by mistake they can perform any write operation also, so which is a very dangerous in terms of audit. So with this reader role, it becomes very safe. So anyone is coming to audit for your cloud, you can assign them the reader role, and you don't need to worry about like they will do any constructive or destructive action on your cloud. They can just only read the data and that's it. And so these are the three scope and three role in each scope we are defining. Scopes are not configurable. They are hard coded in the OpenStack. For example, if say get hypervisor is the API, this is the system level things, right? End user should not be able to know what hypervisor my cloud has been configured with, right? So that is the system level thing. So that hypervisor API has been hard coded to the system scope, so that any user under the project cannot access my hypervisor API because that is under the system scope security, and that cannot be configurable. So it's very highly secure things for us. And other thing is now domain scope system thing is okay. Now let's talk about the how if between two different projects these different role will behave. So say we have the project A and project B. So project A will have project admin, member, reader. Project B will have admin, member, and reader. So here thing is the reader in project A cannot read the data from project B. And the same way the member cannot do any operation on the project B, right? Or same way the admin we are isolating for every project. So the admin isolation is also one of the important use case or the issues we are solving here. Previously, it was a single project admin, and that project admin can do any admin work or operation on any projects. There was no isolation. It was like project A admin is not just project A admin, but it's a global admin and can do anything on project B or C also. So that was one of the like issue we have solved with this default RBAC. So admin within the project is within the project. They cannot do anything across the projects, right? So that is the design we are currently doing. So in phase one, the only one thing we have kept unsolved, which is we are going to solve it in phase two, which is jet cycle, is like getting all reading all the project data. For example, list instance from all the projects, so that any project admin can do currently. But that is the one open issue which we are solving in next cycle. And how we are solving is we are thinking of introducing the domain admin there, so that domain admin can list all the project resources for projects under that domain, and project admin cannot list other projects data also. So that is how we'll be solving that use case. But still, like we are discussing that design and whatever, we'll have the final design, then we'll implement accordingly. But this is the overall like idea of a complete default RBAC. There are a lot of other things also, like system manager we are thinking to introduce in the phase 3, I think, in the next release, AA release, or after Z release, whatever the name will be. So system manager can do kind of a manager things like quota, or like it will be like between admin and member things. So those kind of operations. So we are improving that default RBAC in this way. So if we see the use case from the current operators and cloud, it is solving the most of the use case. Like you can do the audit with the reader only role. You can have the admin and don't worry about that admin can interact or disturb your other projects data. And system level things are secure, domain level things are secure, and admin member and reader are very much 3 different access level you have. And so with this default RBAC, once we implement in all the projects, then we are hoping that operator won't be required to override any policy file. So they can just rely on these default, and they can it will be like as per their use case, or they can solve their use case whatever they have for customer. If they need to override the policies, they might be very minimal, but not all. So as I said, like it's a lot of work required, and I completed the NOAA. Keystone has already done, and NOAA one I just completed in this yoga cycle. My still 2 or 3 patches are under the CI testing, which will be merging, say, by morning, but it will be released in yoga. And then in the next cycle, we'll be targeting other projects like sorry, Cinder, Glance, Neutron, and other OpenStack projects. So if you're a developer, this is a really great opportunity to get engaged in community. And if you are a user or operator, it's a great opportunity to give us early feedback that, okay, you are doing this thing in a correct way, but you're not doing this thing in a correct way. So that is very, very important for us. So give us feedback on this RBAC thing. Other big thing we have been doing in Xena, or even from the previous release, is improving our user-facing APIs. And this is the OpenStack line, the CLI, because APIs using the APIs directly is possible, but very hard, right? If as a developer, I know I can access the API directly, but if for non-developer, for DevOps engineer, using API is very, very hard. So that is why we have the CLI provided, or the APIs, to give a very unified interface for that. So as part of this effort, what we are trying to achieve is we are building the OpenStack client, so that so currently we have the different Python client for every project. So there are inconsistency in every project. So creating the server is a different way of interface. Creating the volume is a different way of interface, right? So that's very hard to use. So what we are doing now here is we are preparing a OpenStack client. So with that OpenStack client command, you can create server, volume, image, network, anything. So everything you can do with that unified CLI. And we have not completed it yet. It's a lot of work still required, and we are continuing that. So for example, like Manila finished in this Xena cycle, and NOAA, Cinder, Glance, they are in process. So this is also one of the opportunity for developers to get engaged in, or even at least from also from the operators and deployer also, if they can be engaged and they have few engineers who can code and finish this work, because that is a very useful for the users. Other interesting things we started in Xena and Yoga is we are brainstorming on the OpenStack pain points. And these are not limited to the maintenance, but also from the user's perspective also. So this is the Etherpad link we have started. So every project has logged their pain points from what they are thinking their project is lacking or they should be fixing, or what operator is thinking from their perspective. For example, NOAA what are the pain points for Nova to use, for Ironic, what are the pain points when user using the Ironic, or when community development team is thinking what their pain point is. So obviously we cannot solve everything in one shot. So we're still brainstorming those things. And we had one meeting last year, November or December, I think. And then we will be continuing those meetings. And so thing is like we acknowledge all the pain points, and then we collect the common pain points, and so that we can convert that into the community-wide goals with a big effort. Or if it is specific to project, then we can like log that as a bug or blueprint, so that that can be tracked, and it's not we'll not forget about that. So obviously OpenStack is not like it's a perfect software. There is no pain point. There is a lot of pain point in terms of usage, maintainability, everything. And if there are pain points, and we have to fix it in software. So this is also a great opportunity to get involved in community. And yeah, next is cross-community collaboration. So along with like work in the software where we improve our OpenStack software to be integrated with other open source software like Kubernetes or adjacent open source. We are also collaborating in terms of the community governance wise also. So beyond OpenStack communities, a good example is collaboration with Kubernetes community leaders. So in PTZ or OpenInfra Live episode, we interact with the Kubernetes steering committee. And in every PTZ, they come to us, our sessions, we join Kubernetes steering committee, and we talk about our common issues we are facing, or we just talk about like the things we have been improved or how things are going on. So in terms of governance and community leaders also, we are interacting, which is really a good thing. And second thing is OpenStack regained the core infrastructure initiative system, which best practice badge. So that has been like the link is there. So it's with the best practice badge is again with OpenStack, and cross-community integration and feature, which we already talked about. So that's always keep going on every cycle. And the last is the project team gathering. So this is the event where developer, operator, users, they comes together and discuss it. So also like they discuss about the feedback, what features, and also developer discuss about the feature designs, what they are going to implement in the next Z cycle. So like a lot of things I mentioned previously, RBAC, unified CLI, pain points. So there are a lot of things to be implemented in OpenStack in Z cycle, right? And PTZ project team gathering is the very good place where you can, like, even you are a new contributor or you are a active contributor in OpenStack, you can come there, you can discuss it, you can give feedback. For example, RBAC design, if you think there is some flaw in RBAC design, you can obviously give feedback. This is the very right place to discuss it before we start implementing the things for the next cycle. And also this is the place, like, for example, if you would like to implement any feature in any of the project for your customer use case, then this is the place you bring that to the specific team, and then you discuss it, you discuss the design, and then we prepare the roadmap for the features. So every new feature proposal, existing feature proposal, feedback, everything is very welcome and from anyone. And one good thing or less good thing or bad thing, I don't know. The thing is, this is virtual and with no cost. So obviously physical event has their own advantage, but virtual event has their own advantage, so that people who cannot travel internationally, they can also join the virtual event. So project team gathering, which is the technical design discussion thing, is virtual and anyone can join from anywhere. There are always time zone things, but we have divided the slots in all different time zone within Asia specific time zone also, and non-Asia specific time zone also. So you can join those PTZ, you can have a discussion, or at least if you don't have any point to discuss or any feature to discuss, still you can join and listen the discussion, and that will get involved in the few of the coding and few of the review also, because in every projects we always ask for volunteers who can develop this feature, or at least who can help in developing those features. So for new developer, this is also one of the great opportunity to get involved in OpenStack community. So yeah, that is all from my side. So I'll open up for any question and answer, or anything like which is not clear. I can go back to slide and explain.
Ghanshyam, excellent presentation, very exhaustive presentation. I know it is time late night for you, but nevertheless, what I would do is a few questions I have before I maybe allow next. We have only time for probably a few questions, but let me start with one. I have one question on Mistral workflow. Is Mistral workflow in the roadmap for future in the pain points? I have not reviewed it, but anything on workflow, if you have, you can probably tell now or talk offline, whichever.
So Mistral, sorry. So Mistral workflow, like that workflow engine and all, it's been working, but exact with the roadmap thing, we can check the like PTZ Etherpad for Mistral thing. The one thing I noticed like is we had this technical election for Z election, and Mistral is the one project where we have no leaders to lead the Mistral project. So, but I have to check like if, because as a TC, we have to assign the leader, and then we will be discussing with the like the roadmap or the anything they are planning to discuss or improve in the jet cycle, and PTZ is the good place to know that. So I'll say to wait till PTZ or till TC assign the leaders for Mistral. But obviously there are, it's not big team for Mistral. Obviously there are very less active maintainer for them since 1 or 2 years. I remember like there used to be a lot previously, and Tacker is one project using the Mistral for their workflow engine to orchestrate the NFV in the different phase. So it is being used and it is being working, but what's their roadmap for future and all, I think we'll wait till we find the leader and till we have their PTZ planning for the next cycle.
Sure. I think that's a good feedback.
Yeah, and I'll keep you posted about those Etherpad and leadership for the next cycle.
The second one is regarding RBAC. Obviously, there were discussions before the election, and then we got offset on that. I will again check with our team here in India what they want to do related to integration for Aadhaar and other things. So that is one aspect of it. And that when we do it, it's the LDAP, I think. So where does this LDAP fit in here? Any specifics on that?
So on LDAP way in Keystone, like that is exists nowadays. So the RBAC is little bit, I'll say the upper level of that authorization. So with RBAC, we are restricting the user authorization and access control over the APIs. And whatever that authentication and everything is done for a specific user, that is done on the like from the LDAP side and all those stuff. So these are like two not so different thing, but at the different layer they are.
So tenant level and resource level.
Exactly, tenant and resource level only RBAC things we are controlling, and then LDAP thing obviously on the authentication and other backend also you can always use. So this RBAC can be used with any authentication backend supported by the Keystone. So they are very much isolated and different layer of authorization.
Excellent. So one additional question on the interoperability. So you have been involved in Interop for long. Now, how do you see if somebody has to really, we only support 3 releases. So if I see that Y is released, then you got only WXY. That means you
Yeah.
have to be on the at least Wallaby to be able to use anything. Now people are there still in the train and earlier versions.
Yeah, even
So
older.
and especially the projects that have not been, like example we are talking about right now, Mistral was available, it's updated, and there is update only
Mm.
and maintenance cycles. So I think Xena is the only one where a lot of updates have occurred, right? The latest ones.
Yes. Yeah.
Prior to that,
Latest,
where
yeah.
there's some maintenance releases. So how does one jump to a
Mm.
update release or feature, because we are not going to put back behind 3. At the most you only maintain 3 in the interop issue. So how do you do, what is
Yeah.
this on
So
that?
Interop is like one perspective to see from the upgrade way, but that is not limited. So we have a like testing project Grenade. Grenade is doing our upgrade testing, and in the community, if you see, we have the 3 supported, and we have the new model, not new, it's very old, is the extended maintenance support for stable branch. So for example, if you see now, uh, Okata is end of life maybe, but Pike, since Pike,
Mhm,
Pike Queen, Rocky,
mhm.
till Train, it is in extended maintenance support. So
I
we
see.
still supporting those. We are still backporting the fixes there till Pike. And then Victoria, Wallaby, and Xena is mainly supported, where we backport a lot of things. And all these things are being tested as a upgrade testing in Grenade project, which is under QA. So we make sure like whatever the extended maintenance since Pike or since like say latest Xena release, we are performing the upgrade testing and we are not breaking the existing resources there. And to give a very brief about upgrade testing, what we does is we boot the OpenStack on the old release, and then we create few of the resources. Then we upgrade the code to the new release, and we check whether the previously created resources are accessible and working or not. So that is one thing also to look at along with the interop testing. And I'll say that is more reliable for checking whether we have broken any upgrade or not.
Fantastic.
But
So
I agree with you, like interop should be extended to the what's beyond more than 3 release.
yeah, but no, extended is fine right now, at least based on the resources we have to accept that
Exactly. Sir.
reality. So one last question to you before I give it to Gokhale.
Hmm.
The question is related to, uh, we have spoken about OpenStack integrated version here. Uh,
Hmm.
Projects that are in the open infra that are besides the integrated version, right? So how do you, where do you really focus as a new provider? If you are an old provider, of course, you have the old legacy to carry. But if you are a new provider, uh, should we uh, directly pick up the open stack, or should we look at open infra as the option?
So in open infra, if you see, it's not like there is a separately alternate of OpenStack is being managed, right?
Correct.
So there are all different tooling, different software, and they can be used as a different use case. For example, instead of OpenInfra, say Kubernetes and OpenStack,
Mhm.
those technology are being talked as a very alternate technology. Either you do OpenStack, either you do Kubernetes, but that is a very wrong perception, right? So OpenStack and Kubernetes can be used in a very different use case, or they can be used together in a all different use cases. You can run Kubernetes in OpenStack, OpenStack on Kubernetes, or in parallel. So it's not about like what you will choose
Mhm.
because there is alternate. It is all about the use case and requirement,
Okay.
right? So say Kata container, OpenStack, Kubernetes, all you can run and make a lot of money, right?
Mhm.
Because there is no single thing exist in the world, right? There are a lot of way to make money. So I'll say like it's not to see from the perspective of like what all open source we have and which one to choose. It should be more driven from the use case. Okay, I have the now customer for the virtual machine management, so OpenStack is the one more stable one. but at the same time I have the like security wise or container wise things to do. I can pick up say Kata container or Kubernetes on top of OpenStack with my hybrid cloud. So it's about like the use case and which one you choose among them. But it's not like we have another one, so previous one cannot be used anywhere. So it's all about from use case driven way I see in that point.
Fantastic.
And in terms of open infra, giving you like more and more option for open source, even they are alternate or they are doing few less or more things. That is the very good for companies and vendors to make a lot of different use case and make money out of that.
Super. So I'll pass on the question to Gokhale. Are you there?
Yeah, very much there. Thank you, Ghanshyam. I think it was a very good overview which you have given, and a complete roadmap, not just only ending at yoga, but even going beyond that. I'm following OpenStack developments, but I think over the last 6 to 8 months, I was a little off the track. Thanks for bringing me back onto the track.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So I think that we are coming to the clock, and I think we will end here. And thank you, Ghanshyam, for taking time in the busy time when you are already releasing something.
Yeah, we just finished release in evening time, and then I closed Lex, and then I started preparing for these keynotes. But it is really good to see, even though Gokhale sir I have not met yet, but it will be great if someday I'll meet whenever we visit India. So.
Yeah, we'll definitely meet up.
Yeah, definitely.
Bring you in. And we actually could have done that, but it looks like we still extend it for another 6 months. Looks like maybe Berlin.
Yeah, exactly.
Berlin could be the place to meet.
So hopefully. Yeah, it will be great.
So with that, Ghanshyam, a very great insight into what is going on inside OpenStack and the community aspect, the project aspect, various aspects you brought in, including the need for committers and contributors. And I definitely wish you all the success and hope to work with you continuously as we have been for past almost 8 to 10 years from the time I know you. And so hopefully this is bringing another chapter into new post-COVID era, and let's hope we can do the best, pull out the best out of everybody. And thank you very much. And with that, I will stop recording this session and move on to the next one. Just I will stop recording first.